All right. Yeah, I'm just like recording this video. So you know that because we're so used to Google Classroom, but I think the university asks us to use EQRU, which I feel is something like if you're using iPhone 12 and you're asked to use back iPhone 6. Okay, so it's kind of like 6 generations apart. So as much as I can, I will still keep a copy of my slides in EQRU. If you need to log into EQRU, you still have a copy of the slides, but I guess I've added all of you on Google Classroom. All right, so I've actually copied the Google Classroom code on the group chat. If you want, you can actually join the class using this classroom code, right? So you just copy and paste, and then go to Google Classroom, join the class, and you get access to all the information, right? The course materials, the slides, you know, everything that you need for this course, including the textbooks that we're going to use. And we are just going to switch my screen to the slide. Okay, just give me one moment. Yeah, I don't usually do classes in the morning, but this is more like an exception. Okay, so I hope everybody's awake. You know, I know that many of you are night owls like me. I probably like sleep 2 a.m. in the morning, but we still have to wake up to attend classes, right? So it's kind of like very painful. Okay, so anyway, coming back to disciplined entrepreneurship. In fact, this is especially the subject that I love most compared to any other subject that I'm teaching at class, because I was actually trained to be a disciplined entrepreneur, right, at MIT in my previous years. So I think today I want to take you through my own personal story about how disciplined entrepreneurship actually transformed my life, right, in terms of this life-changing experience. And I hope that this course, which I brought from MIT to Quest, will actually enable or even empower some of you to, I would say some of you, but all of you, to really pursue your own career, right, in a very exciting way, right? So be it you are from a pharmacy, you're a psychologist, or you are thesis students, you are a teacher, you are biologist, you are computer science scientists, accountants, or doctors, right? So I think the skills of entrepreneurship is really teaching about survivors. Okay, so you know that the pandemic actually hit hard towards a lot of businesses. You know, the Asia, big companies like Malaysia Airlines, big Asia, you know, Grab. You see, so they are great entrepreneurs, right? But they still be not fast enough to make changes to their business. You know, throughout the last 15 months, right? So if it's just like staying stagnant throughout the pandemic, or we call it endemic now, it's kind of like, well, you really need to have a very innovative framework so that you can constantly navigate through the entrepreneurial journey, right? So this is where we are now. And I think one thing that we realized out of this course is that entrepreneurs are not born, right? As you can watch in the video by Bill Olet, and entrepreneurship can be taught, right? It can be taught, right? So it's just like design thinking. You know, you all went through design thinking. You thought that, oh, I'm not a creative person, but we give you a framework so that you embrace design thinking, and now you are design thinkers, right? All of you. All right. So my own personal experience is a bit lengthy, so I think we start with this course, which is more like MIT style course. I want to bring the culture of MIT into this class, and you get the work hard. Okay.
Yeah, even.
Sorry, Fahim, you have anything to say?
Sorry, sir.
Okay. So okay, now let's move on. I was just like you doing this course back then in 2015, 6 years back, I think, at my Mid-Long School of Management, whereby Bill Olet, Elaine Chen, Erdin Besemov, they are the faculty that taught me about disciplined entrepreneurship. So I actually embraced or inherited all this knowledge from my learning experience at MIT, right? So now I'm actually transferring this to you. My first day at MIT, so you know, my classmates, you know, we are looking cool. We came from different countries, all walks of life, different ages and so on. So I think some of us are quite senior and some of us are pretty young, right? So like fresh grade. So we do have people like from the military. I remember my classmate, actually he was working as a Navy, right? The US Navy. So he's the captain, the commander of the Navy vessel. So we have this kind of people at MIT. Well, first day, still very formal, quite official, the greet and meet stuff, the usual stuff. And people are like quite friendly as well. Well, my professor, Bill Olet, which is the author of the book, right? So this is the book that you're going to use throughout your course. And a copy of this book is actually available in the Google Drive. Remember to download the ebook, which is available on the Google Drive, right? So this was his office. We took a tour into his office, and it's kind of like, wow, you never expected the MIT professor's office like so messy and it's so artistic, right? You have the pirates flag right in front of the office itself, and he's kind of like very friendly people, right? Erdin Basimov is basically the coordinator of the MIT course, which is online, and this is available for free for you. If you want to attend this on edX, you can always go back to edx.org to sign up for Entrepreneurship 101. And I think the course materials are still there, but I think I will cover that throughout this course. You don't have to sign up that yet. We'll actually draw upon some of the videos that we can really take that as a teaching materials, right? And then to share with you throughout this course, right? So he was in the short t-shirts, slippers all the time, right? This is actually at the campus, okay? So you know that we don't have restriction that you can't wear shorts or jeans or mini skirt to the campus, but you just wear whatever you like, okay? And well, this is how the announcement was made. He was on the table. You see that he was on his shorts and jumper. We were. I think this was just after dinner, right? So you know that entrepreneurs actually work around the clock. So we don't have so-called like break time. Oh, it's 5 p.m. I need to go back. There's no sort of like 9 to 5, right? If you want to be an entrepreneur, be ready to make effort. Be ready to really sacrifice your time. It's not going to be a 9 to 5 job, right? It's going to be all around the clock, and it's all about patience and commitment. All right. So this is like right after dinner. You can see that outside the window is pretty dark, and I think this was like we are doing some teamwork, right? So in the class itself, this is our classroom. Well, you're going to see a lot of cartoons in the textbook, right? This textbook is full of cartoons. You will enjoy reading it because it's not an ordinary textbook. It has a lot of cartoons, to make you understand the concept and principles of disciplined entrepreneurship in greater details, right? So it's like making a very funny sense of, how this concept works in real life, right? And this is especially my classmate. You can see that Marius, who is the artist of these, cartoons, actually draw the person and then put it on the textbook itself. So when I attended this course, right, the textbook wasn't even published. So we don't have a textbook. So the textbook wasn't even published when I attended this course at MIT. Okay. So and then the artist actually, my classmate actually went to draw these all the cartoons to represent the characters in the class, and from his inspiration. And you're going to meet a lot of funny people and very smart people in the class as well. I think at Quest here we have 100 over students now. Definitely, we do have a lot of smart people, right? Don't discount yourself, because whether it's MIT or Quest, or whether you're coming from any other university, I think the intellectual quality and capacity is almost the same, right? It's basically based on the binomial curve. The guy that draw the cartoons, right? Marius, these are the crazy people, and he's the comic artist for the DE textbook. We work very hard during the class. I would expect the same level of commitment, out of this class, although we are doing this online. But you can see that you get to do a lot of brainstorming, because I've given you, the technique to do how to do brainstorming in the design thinking class. I hope you still remember. And then we are going to do a lot of brainstorming right out of these basically sessions. We work over lunch as well. These are some of my friends. You can see that it's actually outside of the campus. We have to sit together and do a lot of another. We are not doing meditation, by the way. It is taking a bit of breather. We are under a highly stressful environment, and usually we have to take a breather, like 5 minutes off, just go outside and breathe some fresh air, and then also to talk about the things that we're working on, right? So it's going to be a very teamwork based journey, right? So this course is very about teamwork, and I would say that the intensity is, I think, more than design thinking, right? So you really have to like meet each other almost like 2-3 hours per week, and this is the level of commitment that we need to make in order to achieve a good grade. We work many late nights, right? So you can see that my classmates are all off. This is the only table that is around, which is my team. I think this was like 4 a.m. in the morning, and you can see that all the leftover food are actually in the classroom, right? Nobody clear up. And this is what we do at 4 a.m. in the morning. So go back to the main campus, main building, take a picture of the great dome, and we continue to work right overnight to talk about our ideas, to talk about the teamwork, to talk about how we launch a product, to talk about the financial model, how do we make money, out of selling our products and so on and so forth, right? So this actually happens all night long, right? And we spend a lot of nights doing all these things. And I believe it's the same for you, because although you're at home, but sometimes you got to work, from midnight onwards, because you feel more peaceful and you feel it's more quiet for you to think about what's next. And this kind of a very quiet moment for you to rethink about your strategy as well. And this is really the most enjoyable moment at the dawn of the day, right? We play extremely hard as well. I believe that team don't just work and study, but also think about playing games. Usually we have like Fridays evening games. We will actually assemble a few people, the like-minded people, to play computer games, right, against each other, right, on the campus. So I think you can do that. I mean, even it's lockdown, it's MCO stage 2, but I guess you can still do that, by playing some team building games, right, together over the internet. We drank hard liquor, we play hard, but we're also drinking hard. This haram, not halal, not haram. I think so sorry for all the Muslims students, but I think this is a picture of what we do at campus. Socialize a lot. Entrepreneur really socialize a lot. We talk a lot, we present a lot, we think a lot, we work a lot, we socialize a lot, right? So this is just the nature of how entrepreneurs work, right? You can be at one place in the morning, but you end up in another city in the evening, right? So you look at people like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Jack Ma, and blah, blah, blah. They are very highly dynamic people, right? So if you want to be an entrepreneur, be ready to be a very passionate, be ready to be, an enabler. Keep on looking for new things. I think the quest for learning new things is nonstop, right? So the capacity, you always have the capacity, you always have the energy to run the extra mile, right? Just don't stop there. And you can see that Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, although they started with their own respective companies, which is Tesla, SpaceX, and also Amazon. But if we look at the nature of Amazon, right, how it evolves from selling just online books to what it is today, I think it's a lot different, right? It takes a lot of intellectual capacity. It takes a lot of patience for them to transform the company and make it into a giant as what we see today. We do presentation a lot. You got to really rehearse your presentation every time we stand on stage, whether it's a 60 minutes presentation or whether it's 10 minutes presentation, we always have to rehearse, right? So there is no shortcut about this. We always prepare the script. We always know what is the slide that we're going to present. We stand in front of the stage with a lot of confidence. We do a lot of practice, and we are presenting in front of 100 over people. And these are all my classmates. So this was one of the boot camp in Korea. So we were invited back just to do some sharing with our juniors, and because we have done some great jobs as well in my previous years. So I think this was one of the sharing that I did at the MIT bootcamp in Korea. My class, right, is all about teamwork. Is all about teamwork all the time. Make sure that at the end of this week, when you assemble your team, when you register your startup, make sure that you choose the team members who you can work with. I think this is not like you are in semester 2 or 1. You're already in semester 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. I think probably you know that who you can work with. You have the right chemistry to work with certain people from different programs, and obviously you want to continue to work best, right, with team members that you have selected later on. What happened to me next was kind of like life-changing, because after the bootcamp, I went on to founded my own startup called Simplifying, right? I think many of you know that I'm also running a company. I'm also an entrepreneur, while also being an educator at Quest, overseeing the entrepreneurship, center. So I think the startup has grown in the last 4 years to become a $11 million company, right? So it's from 0 to 11 million as of today. And I'm so grateful that we're still doing well despite the pandemic. Kind of like winning some global awards and came up on MIT News. You can check out about it. I don't want to brag about myself, but entrepreneurs teach future entrepreneurs like you. I think it's very important that you get entrepreneurs like me to teach the future entrepreneurs like you, okay? Because we were learning from this way. So during my time at MIT, in fact, Bill Olet, he was an entrepreneur, and he also invited a lot of entrepreneurs based in Boston to come up front and then to come to campus to actually teach entrepreneurship, right? To share their experiences. I remember people from the MIT Blackjack team, who has founded a lot of companies, and then he's kind of like invested in Dropbox and many big companies like Google as well. So he actually came for a talk, and it's kind of like pretty simple to understand that entrepreneurship is all about teamwork. Entrepreneurship is a team sport. It's not about you have a high-tech ideas, then you can really sell well. It's not really about that, right? So even you have great ideas, but it may fail at certain time, right? We'll go into that in more details, right? When it comes to the 24 steps of the disciplined entrepreneurship. Let's move on to next slide, right? Teaching at MIT bootcamp. Well, we'll skip that. Then I raised some funds for an investor. So this is basically Waikit. Waikit is the Igbo boy. He's now working as the investor based in Cambridge in the US. So he's also the MIT alum and also the Harvard alum. So I know him while I was attending this class back in MIT, right? So now we are friends. And actually this man came from Ipoh, right? So in a very small town in Malaysia called Ipoh, he went on to study electrical and computer science at MIT. And then he went on to Harvard Business School to actually got his MBA. And he became a finance guy, worked a couple of years in big companies, and then he became an investor, right? So he actually, kind of like helped me to raise funds towards my company. And I was so grateful that I met him, on the campus. So I think it's the same for this course as well. It's not just about, I'm telling you my stories, but I think my intention here is really to enable, great startups, which you are going to create later on. And then we are trying to look for funding for you, right? So you know that within Quest itself, we do have certain funding. We call it a Quest 10K fund. You can apply for up to 10,000 ringgit fund just to fund your company forward, right? So yes, some processes, but I'm going to share with you later on towards the end of this course. All right, so it's more fun to be a pirate than join the Navy. This is always the mantra for entrepreneurs, because you want to be like the Pirates of Caribbean, right? So if you enjoy that movie, and you know that the pirates are pretty innovative, they are pretty frugal as well. They are crazy people, but they are always very focused and objective, right? So I think this way the pirates are actually they fare better in all aspects compared to Navy, right? Navy has all the resources, all the equipment, all the weapons, all the trainings that they need. but sometimes they do not have the discipline, and they are not flexible enough, right, to adapt to the changes towards the environment, right? Because they are trained to be very robotic, right? So it's very routine, and routine people typically they are not great entrepreneurs because they are not able to adapt to new environment, right? Like during the pandemic, you have to adapt into the new norms, right? The new norms, new norms, new norms, right? So there are a lot of things that happens, every day. Policy changes every day, SOP changes every day, things changes every day, right? So consumer taste changes every day, technology changes every day. So if you can't be stagnant and then stay at that particular point, right, of the time, and thinking that it's going to steer you towards the next 10 years. Not going to happen that way. So I guess that pirate spirit is very important. And I think for this course, you can be a bit wild. You don't have to be like, very rigid. I know some of you are like pretty rigid, but be a bit relaxed, and then be a bit more open. Okay. So for those of you who couldn't relax and you always have to think about, oh, can I get an A+ out of this course? Don't think about that yet. Don't think about the assignment yet. Don't think about the tutorials yet, right? Just be very, just enjoy the moment. Enjoy the moment. We're going to show you a lot of stories, and then sooner or later, you're going to absorb all these principles of openness, right? And become a pirate in the end. So being a pirate doesn't mean that you have to do illegal things, right? I don't particularly like the way that you have to commit crimes like a pirate, but it's not that. But we are trying to embrace the spirit of pirate, which is like kind of like be a bit more open and flexible, right? So this is the chart that we'll go through throughout this course, and basically there's actually 24 steps, right? So do not worry about each and every step, because we're going to take you through each and every step throughout the next 14 weeks. Okay, so 14 weeks is a long time. This course will last until the last week of October. We are now in the middle of not in the middle. We're actually towards the end of July. I think we have about 3 to 4 months to go, right? So I think 24 steps, we can cover maybe 4 steps in a week, and I guess you are good to go, right? So we are just going to do this together as part of the journey. Okay. Maybe just a couple more things. The benefit of the approach is comprehensive. It is proven and tested. At least for myself, I think that it has really transformed my life, right? Not just my journey, but not just my career, but my life. And yeah, I definitely agree that it's proven and tested, right? To stand the test of time. It's systematic. It is prescriptive as well. It's very systematic 24 steps, and it creates a common language for every entrepreneur to embrace, right? So if you want to find a mantra to be successful in your own business, right? Let's say you are a biologist, that you can create a new recipe, to test out COVID, right? So if you can create apparatus to test out COVID, then you need to sell the products, right? And how do you raise funds to sell the product and then to scale it from here? Because most of you are engineers, biologists. I think most of you are actually coming from a very technical background. So you probably do not have the business people to help you on looking at all these things. So it's kind of like very, very important to you to have all these common knowledge, so that you can follow this step by step, do this systematically. And then actually, in fact, engineers can be entrepreneurs as well, right? So you look at all the big companies, big tech companies especially, right? Google, Facebook, Instagram, we have this Tesla, all their founders are actually from a tech background. Okay, Elon Musk is from physics. Google, both of the founders are from computer science. And we do have a lot of pharmaceutical companies where their founders are also from technical background as well, right? So do not discount yourself if you are coming from technical background. You can be a great entrepreneur, seriously, and you can really do better than many business graduates. Smart entrepreneurs is something that we want you to embrace. And remember this chart. You have to embrace the discipline of the Navy SEAL. This is Navy SEAL is basically a special forces within US Navy, and they execute their missions with precision, right? So you know that Osama bin Laden has been sort of like, I hate to say this, but I think he was how to say, he was taken off, right, by the Navy SEAL in one of the operations during Obama's time, right? So I think the mission was carried out by Navy SEAL, and it was like shooting on live, and then all the White House folks are able to see the second to second execution of Osama bin Laden, right? The spirit of pirate, and you get to have the very innovative thinking behind the scenes, right? So as an entrepreneur, you got to have discipline, and you got to be very, very focused and open, right? So this is the combination of two. And usually most of the great entrepreneurs embraces do this both of these so-called threats, right? So this is kind of like a threat for any successful entrepreneurs out there, right? Here, entrepreneurship is about survival skills for you, right? Not for me. Of course, I'm still learning. But I think for us at Quest is that we want you to be technology centric. As I said, that many of you are coming from technical background, even Tesla, right? You may say that you are, I'm actually in the Tesla program. Am I technical? Yes, you are. But you are technical enough that you know the ways or methodology to teach English, right, as a second language. So I think you are also part of the technical so-called pool, the pool of talents that comes with technical background. Innovation focus. So you have done design thinking. Now you are all design thinkers now. So I don't have to repeat that. And the last piece in the puzzle is basically the entrepreneurial centered mindset, right? So you are very technical people. You know how to be creative, right? But now, how do you actually bring your product to the market and then sell it, right? And then scale your business further. So this is what we're going to cover as part of this DE. Well, again, this should be taken in year 3. For those who have not taken DNA and DT, please register yourself. I hope not, because I see all the familiar names. But in case you have not done DT or DNA, please you have to really make changes to re-enroll yourself into DT and DNA, and then to complete these 2 courses before you come to DE, right? Classroom code, I've copied this on group chat. I think you can copy from the group chat. I guess I've added most of you, if not all. And I think we'll do this continuously as people are still enrolling into the class. This is a huge class, right? So when I first heard about I'm going to take over this class with 200 people, oh my goodness, I was like, oh, are you sure I'm teaching 200 people in one class? So they split the class into 2 groups, which is the BBA, it goes to Mr. Ricky's class. And then for the rest of other faculties, it comes into my class, right? So I think we still have a large number of students. We have about 120 students right now. The textbook, you can download the textbook. This is the mantra, the only reference book that we're going to refer. These are the 2 books. The one that I have right in front of me, I still keep that, right? I always refer back to this book. Even I'm now running my own company, but this is like my day-to-day reference book as I grow my business. Lecture is Tuesdays, 11 to 1. Typically, we don't need 2 hours. I think I can cover things very fast. I don't think you can really focus your attention beyond 1 hour. So typically within 1 hour or 1 hour 15 minutes, we can really cover all the critical concepts. Right? Tutorial. I don't think that we need tutorial because this is very hands-on. It's going to be the tutorials will be given offline. That means just like design thinking, I'm going to give you the team work, right? So the team task, whether it's individual or team task, but it'll be posted on Google Classroom at the end of the class. And then we just have to do it before the next lecture, okay? So group work will be given. So look up for Google Classroom and then maybe, try out some of the things. But I guess that most of the tutorials are not graded, but it's very important for you to go attend the tutorials. Assessment, individual quiz carry 20%, right? This will be the only assessment which has to be taken individually, right? So I'm not too sure why it's structured in this way. I didn't design the assessment in such a way, but I think we just have to follow the teaching plan, right? Presentation will be in, I think, in a group format, right? So it'll be group presentation to talk about your ideas. That carries 20%. And finally, it'll be a group project, right? That carries 60%. So there's no exam, no final assessment. Okay. So any questions so far? I mean, with regards to DE, I think I hope I clarify all your doubts. And then before we proceed to the first lecture, I think it's pretty easy to go about the first lecture today, because I don't want to overload you with information. This is just the first week, and I don't want to really stress you up. Again, I think we are taking this very casually. And of course, I hope you can really learn through a very different way of teaching, right? And I guess, well, the action is important, right? So bias to action is all about your action. It's not about reading, it's not about really memorizing the facts. And this course is really to assess you based on action, right? So if you don't do your work and you don't get your deserved points, okay? As simple as that. All right, so I think without further ado, I just want to go into this, the myths, right, about entrepreneurs. So I'm just going to play a video from Bill Alert. I think he can explain better than me, right? It's my Sifu, and he will help, demystify the 6 myths, right, about entrepreneurs, right? Okay, let me just switch my screen. Okay, let me know if you can see this. Yeah.
I want to talk about the 6 myths that people have about entrepreneurs, which are not only not true, but not helpful. And as we think about this and think in looking through as to how we're going to educate you to be an entrepreneur, it's important to understand these 6 myths are not true. First of all, entrepreneurs are the smartest, most high-achieving people in the room. This is a myth that's perpetuated by entrepreneurs themselves, I think, sometimes, and they're rewriting history. Most of the entrepreneurs I know are not the valedictorians of their class. In fact, it's very rare they are. Entrepreneurs are not looking to please other people. They are, in fact, trying to figure out what they really think they have passion about, and then they kind of reject everything else. So they're more likely to get A+ in one class and not go to the other classes. In fact, that's one of the reasons why they often drop out of school. They don't see the relevance of it. Now, I am not encouraging you to drop out of school, but I am saying that you can see this pattern where people get very excited about one thing, focus on that, and then don't do some of the other things that they should do. So the first myth is smartest and high achieving people in the room. Okay, so that's just not true, and data shows that. The second thing is entrepreneurs are individuals. They're mercurial individuals who make things happen by themselves, the kind of Horatio Alger story. That's not true either. Ed Roberts' research shows that, in fact, teams are much more likely to succeed than individuals. If you have 2 people on your team, you're more likely to succeed statistically than 1 person, 3 more than 2, 4 more than 3, up to a certain point. So it is not an individual sport, it's a team sport. So entrepreneurs as individuals, not true. You need to be looking to find people to join your team all the time. The third thing is entrepreneurs are born, not made. Again, a convention, a story that's often told. The research shows again that entrepreneurs don't come from parents who are entrepreneurs. There's no statistical correlation between that. Nor is there a gene that makes you an entrepreneur. It's basically a skill that can be acquired, and that's what we're going to be working with you on. At MIT, everybody says, well, it's all because people are smart at MIT. Well, there's a lot of other places where people are very smart, and they don't start companies at the rate they do at MIT. So entrepreneurs being born, not made, not true. You can become an entrepreneur. This is possible. That's what happens. The fourth one is entrepreneurs love risk. You know, I hear this all the time. They love risk, they love risk. No, let me tell you what entrepreneurs, I don't like to go to a casino. Entrepreneurs I know don't like to go to casinos because that's kind of stupid. You're not in control of your own destiny. What we like to do is take calculated risk where we know we have an unfair advantage. And let me explain that. We actually de-risk risk. So we say we have an advantage in this one area, and then we take the risk out of everything else. But I'll take risk in an area where I have an advantage. I have asymmetric information. I have a particular asset will give me competitive advantage over everybody else. I will then bet on that and think of the long term, and then I'll de-risk everything else. Great example of this, the MIT blackjack team. Very interesting, the movie 21 or the book Bringing Down the House. These people became entrepreneurs. You think, well, they did all this algorithms and things like that, they become hedge fund managers. And it was very interesting on the panel when I work with them, is I was able to moderate with them and asking the questions, and you understand why they become entrepreneurs. They know how to take risk and use it to their advantage, and then patient in the long term. The next thing is for risk, misunderstanding of risk. The fifth one is successful entrepreneurs are charismatic. That's what makes them successful. In fact, entrepreneurship is about affecting change, and affecting change is about leadership. And the MIT Leadership Center, here led by Deb Ancona, actually has shown that charisma is not correlated with success and changing the world. What it is, it's made up of basically 5 other things. It's, do you have a vision? Do you have a sense-making capability to understand what's going on in the world? Fourthly, do you have the relationships to make that happen? And then, thirdly, and then fourthly, it's called this thing, which I will call innovation engineering. How do you take where we are today, the as-is state, and get to a future state that hasn't existed before, and then have a personal signature on that, which is the 5th point. So you have to have a vision, it's a possible state. The sense-making state is the as-is state, where we can go. Who are the people, the relationship, and then how do we move into a world that's never been done before, and then do that with our own personal signature. So it does not have to do with charisma. The fifth myth. The 6th myth, I would say, is that entrepreneurs are undisciplined. And this, in fact, is why I called my book Disciplined Entrepreneurship. Because as I said that, some people would say, disciplined entrepreneurs? No, entrepreneurs are undisciplined. That's an oxymoron. Nothing could be further from the truth. It is essential to be disciplined when you're an entrepreneur, because you are, as my colleague Howard Anderson said, you are the attacker going up against the defender. As the attacker, you don't have a lot of resources, you don't have a lot of time, you don't have cash flow. All that belongs to the defender. You just have this small thing called passion. And how do you execute against this bigger foe requires an extraordinary amount of discipline. So we at the center say, to be a great entrepreneur, you have to have the spirit of a pirate, which means we're trying to do something new, we're creatively irreverent, we're thinking of new ideas, how do we innovate? But you also, while you have the spirit of a pirate, you have to have the execution skills of a Navy SEAL Team 6. So all the entrepreneurs you see, if you think they're not disciplined, look closely and you'll see they actually are very, very self-disciplined. So these 6 myths, that you have to be the smartest, high-achieving person in the room, not true. You have to be passionate. They're individuals, not true. You're a team, and you have to get people to work with you. 3, born, not made, not true either. You can become an entrepreneur. We teach it, we see it happening all the day. It's not just in the classroom, it's outside of it. Risk, how do you de-risk risk, and how do you think about that in the long term and use it to your advantage? Fifth, charismatic, not true. There's a whole kind of skill set that you can learn to affect change. And sixth, disciplined. These are myths that have to go if we're going to be effective entrepreneurs.
Right, great. I think thanks, Bill, for explaining this. Right. So these are the 6 myths, right? Which has been busted by Bill. And you know that you don't have to graduate top of your class to become entrepreneurs. And actually, statistically, if you look at Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, or Jack Ma, and so on and so forth, right? All these people never graduated top from the class, right? And even like Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg, they dropped out from Harvard and so on. So Steve Jobs, right? I think he has never completed college. And these are great entrepreneurs. You don't have to be a genius to become entrepreneurs, which is not true. And this is clearly mentioned by Bill. And even we see a lot of geniuses from MIT, which I attended. And in fact, the best in the class, they are usually working for entrepreneurs, right? So to speak, the A+ students working for C students, right? So I just put it this way, and it happens all the time, and we see that consistently. But having said that, discipline is something which is we don't take lightly. As you understand, the resources is kind of like restricted. The access to funding in the early stages of your startup, it could be a very, very little funding that you have obtained, right, from grants and from sponsors, from your friends and families and fools, right? We call it 3Fs, right? 3Fs is friends and families and fools who lend you their money, and they trust you, they invest in you. And these are some of the resources that you get in the early days when you started up your company, right? It's not like, wow, you're going to getting $1 billion into your pocket from day one. So it's just not possible. You probably get like 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. Along the way, I think we can share with you a lot of examples, right? How Airbnb started off as a company, right? So it's now a multi-billion-dollar company, but at the start, at the beginning of Airbnb, right? So they actually went back to launch 3 times. Okay, so we can show you the interview about how Airbnb got started, and it was pretty interesting as well. So it requires a lot of discipline in execution, right? So it's not so much about textbook, and you always have to adapt to changes in life. All right, so now let me just switch to the topic number 1. Okay, I hope you can download the slides from Google Classroom, and I'm not going to cover every single slide because it's important to make you understand more than covering every single text in the slide. Otherwise, you're going to have 3 hours class, so this is not viable. Let me just bring up the topic number 1, right? And all these slides are not created by me. I think I will make some changes along the way, but please bear with me because I'm just taking over on last Friday. Most of these, from topic 1 to topic 10, these slides are not created by me. Okay. So I'm grateful that Mr. Sito actually prepared these slides before he left. But I think I will definitely make some changes, yeah. So along the way, but I will upload it into Google Classroom, along the way. Okay, now coming back to topic number 1, a lot of slides, but do not worry, we can cover that very, very fast. There are basically only 3 things that we need to cover, which is the entrepreneur. I think Bill has defined who are the entrepreneurs, and we're just going to skip this, blah, blah, blah. And then we talk about entrepreneurship, right? So why you embark your entrepreneurial journey, right? So as I said, it's not just about, oh, you are a doctor, therefore you do not need, entrepreneurial skill. I can tell you, even doctors, if you run your hospital, if you run your own clinic, you need to have entrepreneurial skills, right? It's not just about running a clinic. It's not just running about a department or a unit in the hospital. It's not just about being a surgeon. It's not just about being a specialist, right? So even doctors would need to have entrepreneurial skills, right? Even teachers would need to have entrepreneurial skills as well, right? How do you recruit students? What would be the strategy? How do you tackle them? How do you make them happy? How do you make products, which is your courses, which is your products, right? It has to be appealing to your students. So whether you have a technological breakthrough, right? So this is like you have products to sell, or whether you are starting with just an idea, right? Or whether you just have a passion to become an entrepreneur. So these are the, I would say, entry points into entrepreneurship, okay? So regardless of which stage you are now, I think if you have just a passion that I want to be an entrepreneur, it's good enough for you to embark your entrepreneurial journey, okay, along the way, because you're going to navigate through the journey with a lot of changes, recruiting your team members and so on, build out a business model, and then launch a product, scale a business, raise funds, and so on and so forth. Right? So there's so much thing to do, and it's impossible to do it alone. Later on, I'm going to show how Bill explain entrepreneurship in the next video. But I think entrepreneurship is about formation of new ventures, right? Think about 99 Speed Mart, okay? So 99 Speed Mart started off from a very small grocery store, right? So everybody knows 99 Speed Mart, right? So it's been very successful. And actually, you can read about the 99 Speed Mart story, how the company got founded, and then how they acquired Burger King as a business, and then to learn about the process of making burgers, and then to replicate that process into running 99 Speed Mart operations, right? So it's like, wow, it came a long way, to learn something from Burger King, and then to replicate these operations to run 99 Speed Mart. And now they can scale very well, right? So in every neighborhood, I would say that there's actually one 99 Speed Mart. And I think that's also, part of our entrepreneurship, right? It's not about founding, big tech. It's not about, founding high tech, companies. It can be a very simple thing like selling burgers, but your burgers is more than a burger store, but you can replicate like Burger King or McDonald's. And that's what we call, a formation of new venture, right? A venture that can scale and in a very fast manner, right? So this is all about entrepreneurship. You are not running a family-based business, right? So it's kind of like, it's a very different aspect, or it's a very different perspective to look at entrepreneurship, where you can scale fast and you can grow fast as well, right? Like Grab, right? Grab Food, Food Panda, these are all, startup companies that embrace entrepreneurship as part of the process of creating sustainable business. So there are two types of entrepreneurship, and Bill will cover that later on. So it's actually divided into SME and IDE, and I think Bill will cover that later on, right? So just bear with me for another few more minutes before we jump into that video. So this one I will just skip. A startup is basically a new company that you form. I think this week you're going to form your own startup by assembling a team, right, which you can work with. You can take your design thinking projects, right? In the past, like you have been working on this design thinking project, you got an A+, I think many of you got, A's during your design thinking era. And, you can just continue your design thinking project. So you don't have to, look for new ideas, right? If you are out of ideas, and you can just take that. And then because you already have the product, now in this DE course, you are thinking how to sell your products, right? How to actually match your product to the market, and then find a big market to sell your products, right? And then to create a business plan for that, right? That's basically what you're going to do throughout this course. So a startup is a company that you're going to form, a new company that is designed to innovate a new product or service, right? Under the conditions of extreme uncertainty, right? You may say that AirAsia, it was a startup, right? I think many years back, when nobody came up with the idea of budget airline, like all the conventional airlines have, first class, business class, and economy class, right? But Asia said that, all my passengers will sit in economy class. There's no first class, right? On Asia. So that's basically something very disruptive, something which is very innovative as well. They came up with new product, new service, and it's no frills, right? So if you want to check in more luggage, you pay more. And this is like very, very different to run an airline business, okay? Even for Apple, right? If you look at some business units within Apple, which is a startup, it's kind of like, for example, iTunes, whereby people have to buy CDs from these recording companies, but iTunes actually sells songs, right, on iTunes Store. Okay, so it's kind of like, well, they kind of like innovate new things, and then of course companies like Amazon, Alibaba, Taobao, Lazada, these are all classified as startup company, right? So a startup typically runs things like innovation. They create innovations, which is the multiplication of invention plus commercialization, right? So if you invented something, right? If I invented a light bulb, okay, so somebody invented the light bulb. So the light bulb alone, the invention alone, is not classified as innovation, okay? Because you have not sold your light bulb yet, right? You never know who is going to buy the light bulb from you, right? So you do not have the customer yet, but you just invented a light bulb, right? Same to many engineers, whether you are from a biological background or, you created something great, right? Like COVID testing apparatus, right? A new things, a new way to test COVID within 1 second, for example, right? So something very new, but this is the invention, right? It's not even an innovation yet because you have not sold it yet. You have not marketed the product yet, right? And that's why invention has to couple with commercialization. Commercialization means that you have to make it as a product. You have to really find a customer for it. Somebody pay for it. Somebody purchase from you, and you have a business model to scale and then to sell the products to your end customer. That's called commercialization. Otherwise, your invention, your product will remain an invention. That's all, right? And if you couple with invention plus commercialization, that's called innovation. Okay, so do not mix up the term. Yeah, invention is just like purely creating the products, like the products that you have created out of design thinking. That's called invention. You have not sold the product yet to the end user, and that's at best an invention. Now, given your invention, we are putting you going through these DE24 steps to go through this commercialization stage, right? Just like in my diagram earlier. So you have a product now. We are giving you the DE24 steps for you to commercialize the product. And so that the outcome of this course is you're going to have an innovation, right? So as simple as that. Then we move towards the end. I think this one you can read through, no problem. This is the top 20 funded, the 20 top funded startups in Malaysia, right? So I think you can take a look. I think it always change every year. This is 2019, right? And I believe that I think recently we have the top 101 startups in Malaysia. I think my company Simplify was listed at number 22, okay, which is not a bad thing, right? So this is 2021 statistics. Who's entrepreneur? Yourself and your team members are entrepreneurs. So whoever run the startup are called entrepreneurs, right? So your co-founders are entrepreneurs, you yourself are entrepreneurs, and you have all this entrepreneurial spirit. And also, not necessarily that entrepreneur has to run their own startup or find or create their own startup. They can also be an entrepreneur within existing organizations. Like for example, I'm also entrepreneur in residence at Quest. Quest is an education institution, but I constantly look for new ways, right, to build products that can sell, right? So it could be farm management project. It could be something like AI that we can resell to other people in the industry. So I can be an intrapreneur, right? Intrapreneur and entrepreneur, they both embraces the same spirit and the same principles, right? But the entrepreneur actually works within an established organization. You know, like Amazon, right? They actually hire a lot of entrepreneurs within the organization itself to run, you know, their respective departments, right? So they have so many departments that sell books, that sell computers online, that sells a lot of things that Amazon provides, right? And the Amazon Web Services and so on. And you need entrepreneurs to run the business unit, right? Like new companies, okay? So this is what we call them entrepreneur. And sometimes entrepreneurs do not have to reinvent things, right? They can just, excuse me, they can just you know, copy things like the first computer mouse that I talked about during design thinking. It was actually created by Xerox, and then Steve Jobs kind of like stole the idea, and then they commercialized it through Apple, right, with Ideas Hub. Same thing for Larry Page and Sergey Brin. They are not the first one who came up with search engine, you see. So I think before Google, there are so many search engines out there. I still remember Yahoo was way before Google. And Lycos, right? Alta Vista, Lycos, MSN, you know, all these are, you know, a way better search engines than Google, right? Google was, you know, at that time a startup company that came to take on the giants, and they've been pretty successful after that. And in fact, what do you need to start a venture? First, the idea. We always talk about the idea. Even you have a very small idea, it's not even a product yet, that is already enough to start up a company, right? You need a team, and I keep on emphasizing on the team itself is very important. Work with the people that you can trust. Work with the people that you have the chemistry to work with, right? Do not choose somebody who is taking a free ride, you know. If people are just like, you know, can I join your team, but I'm not going to contribute anything, right? So don't do that. Just let him form his own company, because the team is a critical, essential success factor for your new venture, right? Remember this, yeah? My team at MIT, we broke down. We see many teams that broke down during, you know, their entrepreneurial journey, right? Even you put the geniuses at MIT, these are genius students, right? So you put them together in the team, they quarrel, they argue, they never come to conclusion on small little things, right? And this is harming the company itself, okay? So it's not about whether you are genius or not. It's not whether you have better IQ or not. It's all about teamwork, okay? Any successful company out there requires great teamwork. And that's point number 2. Third point, the process. Process is what we're going to go through in the next 14 weeks, the D24. So, you know, process is kind of like very systematic. So nothing to shout about. I think for this week, you just have to look at the ideas and the team. So I don't have the good idea. I think this is just an excuse, because you can always look for new ideas by discussing, you know, with your team members once you form a team, right? So what really keep you passionate about, right? So what really keep you awake at night? You know, for example, during this pandemic, we see there's tremendous opportunities out there, right? How we can transform businesses. You know, yesterday I was at Old Town. You know, the kopitiam that used to be very crowded, the owners are just sitting there, waiting for business, right? It's kind of like, wow, things change, right? And if you don't change, you're not on Food Panda, you're not listed on GrabFood, you're not, you know, doing food delivery, you refuse to change, and that's it, right? I think the opportunity is not going to wait for you, okay? So start from that point, right? Start from the pain point, and then looking at, you know, things that you can work on, right? It could be a very simple idea that you will evolve from that little idea that you have and expand it into more solid ideas later on. Crazy ideas are good. As I said, in design thinking, wild ideas are highly encouraged. Think about how you can hack the current system. It's not like computer hacking, but hack means that how do you circumvent, right? How do you actually innovatively, disrupt the industry? Like what Simplify is actually disrupting the telco industry, because we let everyone to be an internet service provider, right? So we are taking on giants like Maxis, Cellcom, and Digi. Okay, the more the better. The more the idea that you can generate, the better, because you can really shortlist the idea. So this is basically very important for you to do some brainstorming among yourself over WhatsApp or over Google Meet, over Zoom, just to think about the idea, because you need the idea for your week one. Okay, for your week one, you need to register a team with an idea. Forming a teams to generate ideas. At the end of this class, go and form your team. It's very important. We have so many students who are on board. You can always reshuffle the team as you grow, right? So work on the idea that you are passionate about, right? Don't choose the idea because, okay, since nobody is taking this idea, I will take it. Work on something that you are passionate about. If you want to help poor people, you want to help disabled people, go ahead to do it. Okay, this is a chance for you to do it, right? So and do not present a business plan that your team does not believe in, right? So also maybe think about, are you, do you have an idea on how to sell this product or services, right? So for example, the kids are actually at home doing homeschooling. How can you transform the classroom learning experience, right? For students who want to look for tuition, right, online. So TESOL students can do this, right? If you are in early childhood, in TESOL, in communications, you can always look for all these ideas, right? During the pandemic, how do we actually do tuition? How do we actually match all these, primary students, especially they couldn't go out and they still need to do homeschooling? How do we match them using a platform to teachers who are looking for extra income, okay, online? They spend 1 hour online teaching, and then they can earn extra income during this difficult time. Okay, so that's especially one idea itself, and nobody is doing that in Malaysia. Then one probably last thing that I want to talk about is really to encourage you to watch this Korean drama. All right, it's actually on Netflix, and this represent I think how startups work, right? This particular K-drama is called Startup. You can actually look up on Google, Netflix, or even some free streaming websites. It was like aired towards the end of last year. It's quite amazing, right? So this is like the 3 computer scientists trying to launch a business, and they were not successful at all, right? So because all of them are from IT background, they are all computer science students. They launched a great AI product, but nobody buys from them until they met this lady, right? Which is casted by Susie, and she was the CEO of the company. She knows nothing about tech, but she knows how to sell. She knows how to convince customer, and she knows how to respond. She knows how to hustler, right? So I think in the team, you need not just geeks, but you need people who can keep on hustling, right? And then this lady, which is the lawyer, she's more like a hipster, right? So you can see the way that she dressed is very different from the rest of the other 4 members here. You need a hipster who are marketing expert, right? So Steve Jobs is, in fact, he was a hipster for Apple. He's always the face of the company. Okay, so this is like in the company, you need the hackers. The hackers means that the technical people, and you need the hustler. People who can really hustling through. They can present. They know about the business and so on. You need the marketeers, right? You need the hipster, right? So this is a very great drama. I think it's 16 episodes. If you watch 4 episodes per day, you can finish it in 4 days. Okay. A group of people working together does not automatically equal to the team, right? Group is not equal to a team. Okay. Teamwork means that if the team faces problem, any one of you will have to jump in to help out. Right? Compared to the group means that, oh, you do part A, I do part B. If we don't finish part A, it's none of my problem. That's basically group work. But in running a startup, it's all about teamwork. Okay. If we are actually selling a ship, right? So if you are selling on the oceans, there's especially a hole, right? Okay, there's a hole in the middle of the ship. If we don't fix that, right? If the captain don't instruct you to fix that, all of us will die. Okay, all the cruise member will die because the ship will sink. All right, in the ocean. So teamwork means that if you see a hole there, fix it. Right? Don't wait for instruction. Do not wait for the captain to come in to fix the hole for you. Right? It's all about teamwork. It's not about group work. Okay. So very important thing. Yeah. 6 ingredients of effective teams. Maybe give me another 2 minutes before we jump into Bill's video, and then we call it a day. Roles and responsibilities. So when forming your team, right, just look through the Google Classroom. You are required to appoint a CEO, a CTO. CTO is a Chief Technology Officer, and then a CFO, right, a Chief Financial Officer, because you have to do a lot of finance and so on. And you can call yourself, right, the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer as well, right? So it's up to you. You can form a team with 3 people, at least 3 people, or you can form a team with maximum 6 people in the team, right? So not any team can have more than 3 people from the same program. Same rules as design thinking. You shouldn't have all 6 people from IT. You should not have all 6 of you from, let's say, BBT, right? So it's just not possible, right? Because if you're all from BBT, you'll end up selling nothing because all of you think alike, right? So you cannot divide the work. Everybody is like, thinking alike. You're gonna start there, right? Just like what the startup movie portrays. Yeah. So clear roles and responsibilities. Appoint CEO, appoint CFO, and appoint a CTO, right? At least these 3 members. And if you want to appoint like the Chief Marketing Officer, the Chief Operating Officer, if you want a title, just create a title for yourself, right? Clear working approach. Like, where are you going to meet? Like every Thursday, we can meet at 9 p.m. Just do it, right? This is ongoing basis, right? Based on your time. Effective decision-making process. Don't always. I think the conversation should not be dominated by just 1 or 2 people, right? So be ready to participate. Right? Point number 4: equitable participation from all the members. Right? It's very important. And managing influence, yeah, because some team members can influence the decision making of other team members as well. And how do you manage conflicts, which is very important. I think these are all team process, and it's very important for you to form the team from day 1, which is the first week, and then we talk about your venture next week onwards. Okay, so this week just form the team, get yourself, think about an idea. I will post the tutorial for you to trigger you to think about, what ideas you should work on, and you can use that worksheet as your guiding principles, right, to come up with something that you want to work on as a team. Okay, so I think without further ado, I will just skip all these other slides here because I think it's not important. You can read through all this; it's already in words, and I want you to spend more time. Wait, I think was it? Okay, I think before that. Okay, just one more thing, right? This is the team formation, right? So the hustler are typically the CEO, right? The hacker, the CTO, and the hipster, right? Hipster is especially the CMO, right? So you need the combination of these 3 this combination in your team, among your team members. So these are typically the combination, right? The CEO, right? People who can present right in front of the audience. Typically the IT people, right? The geeks would not know how to present well. That's why they remain the CTO, right? So they look at tech, they look at technology, they look at the products. And then of course you have any other rules that you want to put out, right? So again, there can be just one CEO, okay, blah, blah, blah. I think you can read through this. And then I guess for interest of time, maybe I just jump into the last video, right? Before we call it a day.
Hi, my name is Bill Ollett. I'm going to talk about disciplined entrepreneurship, 24 steps to successfully launching a new venture. What I'm going to start with is what is entrepreneurship, because this term is used all the time. It's bandied about. Everyone's for entrepreneurship. However, there's two fundamentally different types of entrepreneurship that I want to talk about. First of all, we have entrepreneurship. We have what we call SME entrepreneurship. SME stands for small, medium enterprise entrepreneurship. These are fundamentally small companies that will stay small, and they may have been around for a while. They're focused on local markets. They're often service businesses that are servicing a local opportunity, but they're not something that's looking to go global. They know there's a need local, they want to address that. This could be a dry cleaner, this could be a nail salon, this could be a restaurant, or pizza parlor, as we reference in the paper that Fiona Murray and I wrote. These are fundamentally important companies to an economy in a region because they serve a need. But relative to the way they're made up is the system that they create is one that shows kind of linear growth, and then at some point it usually taps out of the market. Now this is an approximation of what goes on, but that's what it usually looks like, linear growth. But you notice that if this is cash flow here from the business, that there's not a tremendous amount of cash flow out. Again, a simplification. However, when we go to IBEs over here, which I will call innovation-driven entrepreneurship, or innovation-driven enterprise entrepreneurship, we have a fundamentally different business. This one is looking for global markets or super regional markets to serve. And while this one is usually the owner is usually maintaining control of it, this one is going to require more cash because the dynamics of this business it loses money and then it's going to start showing exponential growth. So there's this negative cash flow here. If this is cash flow on the y-axis and this is time along the x-axis, it'll initially have to require some capital be put into it. But then if it works, it will take off because it's got basically unlimited markets. Underlying what they're doing here is an innovation that's unique that allows them to address much broader markets. So they're not just focused on the local market, but much broader markets. This is very important because this is going to require more cash, as I mentioned, while this is owned by this is controlled by the family or the owner. This over here is going to have shareholders and a bunch of other people. This is a very important difference here because while this business is a very important business, the underlying demographics the underlying system and training for this does not look the same as this. It's almost like you have two sports, basketball and baseball. Sure, you run in both, you jump in both, but and that's true of these, but Michael Jordan was a great basketball player. He turned out not to be a great baseball player. All his training was for that. So likewise, there could be some crossover here, but generally there's more risk in these. The people that are trained for these are doing how to manage multiple stakeholders, how to do an underlying innovation. In the next section, we're going to look at what is innovation and define that more precisely. But the point of this is two types of entrepreneurship: small, medium enterprise entrepreneurship, small companies distributed geographically, and then innovation-driven enterprise entrepreneurship, companies that might not make it, but then if they make it, they get to grow and be very, very big. These end up, you don't need a lot of these to generate a lot of jobs. These you need a lot. These tend to be more clustered. These tend to not be so clustered.
All right. So the SME, you can think about, like 99 Speed Mart, which is SME, right? So they grow in the domestic market. They cater for household. They are not scaling. I would say that they wouldn't be scaling very fast globally. If you have to replicate the 99 Speed Mart in Thailand, in Indonesia, in the Philippines, and in the rest of the world, so it's more difficult, like as compared to Airbnb, right? Airbnb, you just list your accommodation on Airbnb website, regardless of where you are, whether you're in Poland or you're in China, or whether you're in Malaysia or Singapore and Indonesia, you can always host an Airbnb apartment, right? So because it's just a website for you to sell. And I would say that if you compare Airbnb to 99 Speed Mart, obviously the Airbnb is an IDE, innovation-driven enterprise, and the 99 Speed Mart, although it's part of entrepreneurship, but it is an SME, right? A small and medium enterprises, right? So this is how you differentiate, the SME and IDE. So both are not wrong. These are part of entrepreneurship, but what attracts investor is the IDE, right? You know how Tesla has grown, from making EVs to a multi-billion companies right now because they can scale fast, right? They can sell the cars all over the world. And you think about Uber, right? Uber, which is the main rival of Grab, when they started off fighting in the Malaysian market back in 2013, when they launched. In fact, I love Uber compared to Grab. But I think Uber can scale very fast, right? Every city, every country, every state, and so on is using the same app, right? As compared to 99 Speed Mart, of course, Uber is classified as the IDE, okay? So along the way, you can see a lot of companies are focusing very much on IDE rather than just SME itself, right? So this is something that we call it a high growth startup, and there are a lot of potentials, right, for IDE as compared to SME. So your ideas, you can really look at whether you want to, create a venture in the SME segment or the IDE segment. If your ideas is about serving one specific community, right? Let's say in Ipoh only, you cannot scale anywhere, just Ipoh only. Then it will be more or less classified as SME rather than IDE, okay? If your venture is something that, I can really scale in East Malaysia, I can even scale in Sarawak, and I'm selling vaccines. Okay, yeah, vaccines, right? So there's no restriction where you want to sell your vaccines, right? Because it applies to all human race. So this is like more IDE because you can really address the market globally. Okay. So I think this afternoon I'm going to post the tutorial online, and then you form a team first, and then you work out this whether you want to form an idea based on IDE or SME, right? So you can choose. It's nothing wrong, but this is just to take you through the 24-step journey. But you can choose to work on, some of these ideas, right? Of course, you can change the idea along the way. There's no hard rules, but this is just to keep you started. Okay. So I think with that, we will stop here. And remember, there's no tutorial, although it is actually appearing on your timetable. There's one tutorial at 2 and another one at 5 for the same group. I don't know how they form the timetable, but forget about that. We're just going to do the tutorial offline, okay? And I see you next week, same time, Tuesday at 11. And for those of you who asked me about where to download the slides, yeah. So I need to show some of you where to download the slides. If you go to Google Classroom, okay, let me show you where to get these slides. I believe that you have been added to Uni 3413 Disciplined Entrepreneurship Group 2, not Group 1, yeah, Group 2. Just go to the stream, you scroll right underneath. This is where you get your course material, okay? Just go to get your course materials, open up this Google Drive. You will see a bunch of folders, right? So are you able to see the folders? I hope yes, right? You're going to see the syllabus, the textbook. Make sure you download the PDF. You know, these are the 2 textbooks that we're going to use. And all the slides are actually in the second folder, which is the lecture materials. Okay, look for that. And these are all the topics. There are only like 7 topics. We have covered the first one, the 0, you know, and the first one. And we'll take you through the rest of other topics in the coming weeks. So we have time, right? So we do have a lot of time going through all these topics together. Okay, so yep, stay put and let's see how we can do something great together. Okay, any questions so far? You know, open for Q&A. If not, I think we can adjourn. I will just stop the recording.